Hello students, this is a question which has been asked in your exam, which I am displaying on the screen right now. So this question is like this, that a room of size 3 meter by 4.5 meter is to be constructed with RCC columns of size 230 by 350 located at 4 corners of the room. The room is to be divided into 2 parts with a brick partition wall. Draw key plan and section at 1:50 scale showing footings and plinth beams. So this is first part of the question, which is consisting of 15 marks. The second part of the question is draw enlarged detail of footing to a scale of 1:10. So here they are asking you to draw the plan and the section of the footing. And the third part of the question is sketch the longitudinal section of a typical simply supported beam showing the reinforcement details. So first important thing you should remember is that you should read the question properly and try to understand what has been asked. So this question consists of 3 parts. Now in all these 3 parts different scale has been asked. For example, in the first part the scale that has been asked is 1:50. In the second and the third part they are expecting a scale of 1:10. So that is something which you should remember, that you have to use 2 different scales for drawing this 3 different parts. Now if you read the question properly, what they have said is that the room size is 3 meter by 4.5 meter and that room itself has been divided into 2 parts. So they have not specified along which direction the room is to be divided. But logically what we can say is that it should be divided along the length, that is 4.5 meter length. Now they have also said that this room has been divided into 2 parts by a brick partition wall. So what do you understand by a brick partition wall? That the wall has to be of a thickness of 110 mm. So just remember that. While as the external walls has not been specified how much should be the thickness of the external walls, but you should consider a thickness of 230 because the columns are 230 in this case. So the external walls will be 230, internal partition wall will be 110. And this has to be the 4.5 meter length has to be divided into 2 parts. So this is the first important point that I should remember. They have not asked you to draw any types of doors or windows or anything. They have just said that the room has been divided into 2 parts. So it is not necessary to draw in fact doors and windows in this case. You can just simply show the room with the walls. Then in the second part what they are expecting is that you should draw the footing. So here they have not specified what type of footing. So we have learned about trapezoidal footing, we have learned about rectangular footing, but this is definitely going to be an isolated footing. So I would suggest that you should draw the trapezoidal footing because that is what they are expecting. So you should draw the plan and section of the trapezoidal footing. Now when they are saying a plan and section, they are expecting that the section should pass through the footing. So you should be showing the reinforcement inside it. And similarly you should show the reinforcement of the column and also the reinforcement in the footing as we have done in our sheet. Then the second part of the question, the third part of the question is that you have to also draw a section along the length of the beam, and considering that it is a simply supported beam. So you already know that section. So there you will show the columns, a beam on top, and you will show the reinforcement inside it. So this is the basic question. Now let us see how this is to be solved. Now important thing you should remember is that when you are considering plinth beams, there are going to be 2 types of beams. One is going to be a beam which is going to be at the ground level, that is 150 above the ground level. And then there is going to be a plinth beam which is going to be at the plinth level or just below the PCC. And that is going to be for the partition wall which you are going to have. So now let us try to make the drawing so that you will understand how it is to be done. So I'll just switch over to the CAD program and let us just see how it is to be drawn. So first important point is that the room has been mentioned as 3 meter by 4.5 meter. So remember, very important thing mistake which many students make is that when you are given a room size, it is the clear size of the room. So what you should do is that you should start drawing. Now here I will take a dimension of 4.5 meter, that is 4500 mm. Normally you should do the drawing in millimeters. So 4500 mm by 3000 mm. So this is going to be the room which you are going to draw. This is the internal size of the room. Now outside this you are going to draw a 230 thick brick wall. So you will be drawing parallel to these lines. You will be drawing a wall which is 230 thick. So that is first thing that you should remember, that the external wall will be 230 and the internal wall will be 110. So let us say that now this wall is 230 thick. Now they have mentioned that there are 4 columns. The size of the column they have given. So the size of the column is going to be 350 by 230. Okay. So let us try to draw this column here. I will take 350 in this direction, 230 in this direction, and this is one column. So like that you can draw all the 4 columns. You can show them with a cross like this, so that will indicate the column. As far as possible, try to draw them along the length like this as I have shown. So this is column number 1, this is column number 2, then there will be similar 2 more columns on this side. So you will have these 4 columns here. The wall thickness, as I told you, is 230. Now in between this length, that is 4.5 meter, there is a partition wall which they have given. So what you do is that you take the midpoint of this and you draw 110 mm. What it means is that you should draw an offset of 55, that is you should take on both sides of the center line. You should take 55 mm on both the sides and draw this wall. So now this wall will be of a dimension of 110. So this is 110 thick wall. Now here, as I told you again, they have not asked you to show any doors, windows or anything. So you need not draw even that, but if you want to draw, you can also draw 1 or 2 windows or doors here or openings here. That is not a problem. So this is going to be the framing plan. Now below these walls here, you are going to have beams. Similarly, there is also going to be a beam below this. So now what you will do is you will possibly give the dimensions to this. So what you will do is you will give some text here. So text is important. You should write here column numbers. So write column number C1. Okay. C2, C3, C4. Normally they should be written in this way. This will be C3. And also write the size of the column, because they have given you the size of the column. So write it below it. So write here 350 by 230. On all the 4 columns, below all 4 columns, you should write this size of the column. Now, as we had done in our submission, you should also try to give the names for these beams. So what you would do is possibly show or give the names of these beams. You can call this as PB1 because it's a plinth beam. Then you can call this as PB2. Then you can call this as PB3. Then this will be PB4. There will be a beam in the center also. And this will be PB5. Now one important thing you should note is that even though this wall is 110 thick, the beam is going to be 230 thick. So what you should do is that you should draw the beam in dashed lines by making it 230 thick. So you should show this line as a dashed line because it is below the PCC. Okay, so sorry. This will be a dashed line. I'll just change the scale. Like this. So this PB4 which is there will be below this 110 thick brick wall. It will call as PB4. Now because the level of PB1, PB2, PB3, PB5 will be different from PB4 because PB4 will be at the level below the PCC and PB1 will be 150 above the ground level. So here at this point and this point you are going to require a stub column. So you can draw this and indicate it like this with a cross. We have done this in the class, so you know what is a stub column, and show it in dashed lines. So there is going to be a one stub column here and another one here. So you can name it like that. So you can call this as stub column. And here also. Now this stub column is required for this particular question which has been asked. It is not necessary that it will be required in other questions where this type of level difference may not be there. In some cases they have just given you only 4 columns and there is no central wall which has been given in some of the questions. So in that case you will not require the stub column in this case. But in this particular case you will require the stub column. So this is how you are going to see the plan. And this plan has to be drawn is to 1:50 scale. So what you will see here is this is the plan showing the columns and the beams. Now in the question, if you see the question, what you will see is that nowhere they have given you the size of the footing or any other detail has not been given here. So for that you have to assume what is the size of the footing, what is the size of PCC which is below the footing and everything. So you can assume like we had done in the college, what we had given the size of the footing. So here you can possibly assume a size of say 1200 by 1500, something like that. So what you do is, just considering this as the center line, you assume that along this direction this footing is 1500 and along the shorter direction it is 1200. So I will offset this by 750 on two sides and this line by 600 on two sides. So now what I am getting is a footing, and the size of this footing is going to be 1200 by 1500. So along the length of the column, the footing is of a bigger size, and along the width of the column it is of a smaller size. So this footing is going to be 1200 by 1500. I am assuming this size. I will also make this line as dashed line because it is below. So this will be the footing. Then you are already aware that just outside the column you have got a 75 ledge which you will get here. So let us show that ledge here of 75 mm on all four sides like this, and this ledge will again be seen dashed lines because it is below the beam. So either you can show this footing in below all columns, or you can show it as only below one column as an example. So it depends upon how much time you are getting in the exam, whether you would like to draw it on below all four columns, but even if you show it in below one column, it is okay. So these are the lines of the trapezoidal part of the footing, the inclined parts. So this is going to be seen like this. So this is your footing, the trapezoidal footing. Now outside this footing, you know that there is PCC. So that PCC is going to project by 150 on all sides. So there will be 150 offset on all four sides of the footing. So this is how you are going to see the footing along with the PCC. So you can show it just below one column. I think that should be sufficient. You can say that the same thing is going to be there for all other columns. Now there will be no footing for the stub column. Remember that the stub column is coming out of the beam. So there is no footing here. There is going to be one footing here, and for C1, C2, C3 and C4 only four footings will be there. So this is how we draw the drawing of the plinth beam. Now here, because this is a wall, you can hatch it and show it as a hatched line because you have got a wall here. So show the hatching for the wall. You know that how the hatching is to be shown. I'll just adjust the scale of it. So this is how you will be showing the hatched. Okay, same way you can show the hatching for all other parts here. So brick hatch, even this 110 thick brick wall you will show it as hatched. So this is how it will look. The same footing can repeat below all 4 columns. So if you are having sufficient time, you can obviously draw it, but otherwise you can draw it at least below 1 footing and say that this is going to be repeated for all the columns. So this is the first part of your question paper, the first part which we saw. That is what they have asked you is a room of size 3 meter by 4.5 meters to be constructed with RCC columns of size 230 by 350 located at 4 corners. The room is divided into 2 parts by a brick partition wall. Draw key plan and section at 1:50 scale showing footing and plinth beams. So this is what they are expecting. So I would suggest that if possible you draw this footing for all the columns. So as I said that you can assume the size of the footing. If you are not given the size of the footing, you just assume it to be 1200 by 1500, and this offset you take it as 75 on all sides of the column, and then you simply do the same thing for all the columns. So you have got the footing. So this is your key plan. So you can call this as a key plan. So what you can say is here key plan showing footings and plinth beam. Now it is important that you give some dimensions here. So you should give the inner dimensions of the room. Like for example, you can give this one dimension like 4500 by 3000. So they understand that you have followed the dimensions and you have written them accordingly. So give the dimensions. You can also give the dimensions of the room. Maybe this dimension you can give one, at one point also you can give one dimension. So this will be something like this, because this has been divided into 2 parts. Now here you can write specifically that this is a 110 thick brick wall. So just write it here. So whatever information you want to give, just write it. Okay, show it with the help of a arrow. (110) thick brick wall. Here you can write 230 thick brick wall. Now if you don't get time to do the lettering with proper guidelines, you can do it with free hand also, but complete the question. So that is very important. So you don't try to do everything with proper guidelines. You can directly write freehand directly on the sheet itself, and more important thing is that you should try to give as much information as possible. So this will be your key plan. Now they have asked you for key section also. So second part of your draw key plan and section at 1:50 scale showing footing and plinth beams. So this key section is going to be crucial because in the key section you are going to see the plinth also, plinth formation. So let us try to draw this above here. Now again here you are not been given the depth of the footing, where is the available hard strata or whatever, that you have to assume. So let us assume that it is available at a distance of 900 mm. So I'll just draw 900 mm below the ground level. Let us assume this is the ground level and this is your depth of excavation. They have also not mentioned the size of the thickness of the footing. Nothing has been mentioned. So here you have to assume something. So let us try to draw now. If the section goes like this through this, how will it be seen? So important thing is that you should try to project the same thing from the plan. So what you do is go on projecting these lines. So this will be first line of the wall. So this is going to be the wall. This is going to be the central wall. It is important that you take a section along the length, because here you have to show the difference in the level of the plinth beams. So that is why you have to take the section along the length. If you take it along the width, you will not see the beam which is here below. So this is going to be our basic projected lines. Now there is going to be some plinth here. They have also not mentioned what is the plinth level. So you can assume it. So let us assume that it is 600. So I will say this is 600 above the ground level. So this is your plinth level. So this is your ground level, this one. This is your depth of the foundation, and this is your plinth level. Now you know that the external plinth beams, that is PB3 and PB5, they are going to be placed in such a way that they are 150 above the ground level. I hope you remember that what we have done in the college. So there is going to be a plinth beam here, there is going to be a plinth beam here, and there is going to be a plinth beam here also. Only this beam will be at the upper level and these two beams will be at the lower level. So let us now try to draw this first beam. Now again the size of the beam has not been given. So again you have to assume. All these things you have to assume because nothing has been, no data has been provided. So we had taken this depth as 900. Let us try to take it slightly bigger because we want to accommodate the footing here. So let us take the thing as 1500 instead of 900, so that you will have sufficient space for drawing the footing and all that. So the depth of the footing will, let us take it as 1500. Now here you want to draw the beam. Let us assume that the beam size is 230 by 450. So out of the 230 by 450, 150 will be above the ground and the rest of it, that is the 300 below, will be below the ground. So let us try to draw it. So what I will do is I will say 150 above the ground. So this is going to be the level above the ground. So this is the line which is going to be projecting above the ground. And now this is going to be 450 below the ground. Total depth is 450. So it will be 300 below the ground. So this is going to be your plinth beam. So this is going to be plinth beam for the external wall. Similar plinth beam you will see it on the other side for the external wall, 150 above the ground and rest of it will be below. So this is your plinth beam. Now in this case the beam will be below the PCC. So now let us look at the plinth formation. You know that plinth formation you require 100 mm PCC at the top. So let us try to draw 100 mm PCC here. So this is going to be 100 mm PCC. So let us remove some of the extra lines which are there so that it will become more clear. So I'll just get rid of some lines here so that it becomes more clear. Okay, so now this is how it is going to be seen. The PCC will go right below the walls, so this line will not be seen. Now you know what is the formation of PCC. That is going to be below the PCC there is going to be blinding cores, below that there will be 230 thick soling, below that there will be room filling and all that. So we'll draw that slightly later. Right now let us try to see what is going to happen to this particular beam here, which is going to be below this central wall. So let us assume that this beam is going to be 230 by 300. Okay, so let us draw a beam here which is going to be again in the center. So we already have got these lines, so let us project these lines here. So this is the first line of the beam, this is the second line of the beam, and now we know that we have assumed that the depth of the beam is only 300. So we have drawn this as 300. So this is going to be 300 beam. So this is how this beam is going to be seen here. Let me just clean up some of the lines here. So now you will understand that this is the plinth beam here at this level. Let me just get rid of these lines. So this beam is at a upper level and these two beams are at a lower level. This is your PCC. Now above this you can just leave it and just show a continuation line because we don't know anything else about what is happening above. So let us say that we'll just get rid of all these lines and just we'll show a continuation line somewhere here. So that means that this is going above. Okay, so you can leave it like that. Now below this you will draw in the key section, you will draw the first layer which is going to be about 50 mm thick, will be the blinding cores. Below that 230 thick is going to be the soling and below that will be room filling. So first leave some space here above for the blinding cores. Let me get rid of these lines because these are just guidelines which are there. These lines you draw very faint lines so that you get some guidelines for drawing the the soling and all that. And now here you can draw the soling. Now you need not draw this very elaborately. You can show only 2 or 3 stones like this, but try to show them in the wedge shape like you have shown them in your drawing. So try to show them like this. So wedge shaped stones. This you can draw freehand. Like that. Try to start them from the very edge here. And you can copy, say, or you can sort of draw 2 or 3 more so that you get some area where you're going to show this. That's it. You did not draw the entire thing. You can just show this much. That is okay. And then below this now you can draw the room filling. You know the indication for room filling how it is. So just draw these slanting lines like this. With the help of your set square and just simply show this that this is your room filling. Some like this and some of the lines you can show them. in the opposite direction like this. So just indicate that there is a Morome filling here at 45 degrees. These lines have to be at 45 degrees. Right now I'm not drawing them at 45 degrees, but you can draw them like that. So this will be Morome filling. Here also show it completely up to the ground level, full. And you can do only a small portion like this as I have shown. Of course, clean up all these things so that so one rule, remember that if you fall short of time, you will realize that you are not having sufficient time. Draw freehand, but complete the question in all respects, and don't forget to label all the parts. So this much, even if you draw, this is enough. Now here label the parts. Like for example, you can say this is the external plinth beam, external plinth beam. So this is what you will write here. It is also called as ground beam. Indicate that it is 150 above the ground level. Here specifically write this is internal plinth beam. Okay, so indicate it with arrow. This is the internal plinth beam. External plinth beam. Well, like that you can show with proper arrow whatever this is. Then here write what these layers are. So you know that how it is written, all these things. So what you have to do is write in one single line and then give the arrows. Like for example, here you have to write 1:3:6 PCC. Below that you should write blending course. Below that you should write 230 dry rubble soling, and then you should write Morome filling. So all this should come in one line like this, and then with the help of the arrow you can indicate what is each part. So like that. Now here you can indicate like this. So this is second blending course, you can show it like this. Then 230 thick dry rubble soling, show it like this. Then Morome filling. Like that. Okay. As I told you, you can do this in freehand also, no problem, because you may not find sufficient time to do it. Because this particular question which has been asked is quite extensive, which I feel is it is going to take a lot of time. So this is going to be now your section. Let me just move this a little bit above. So this is going to be your section. This was just a guideline to show where the footing is going to come. So this is your ground line. This is the hard strata line. All these lines possibly now know what it is. Okay. Now below this you can show in dotted lines, you can indicate this footing. So to indicate that footing, you will require to know the size of the footing. So size of the footing as far as plan is concerned, you already know 1200 by 1500 we have taken. But what would be the height of the footing and all that? That we are not specified. So let us try to draw it here. So let us say that you take the project these things here. So say this is the line of the ledge here. Then this is the line of the footing. And then beyond that is going to be your PCC. This is the line of the PCC. So first thing that you know is that the PCC should be 150 thick. So draw it 150 thick. So this is going to be your PCC. So rest of the lines you can get rid of here. So this is going to be the PCC here. Beyond the PCC now you are going to have your footing. So you know that the trapezoidal footing is going to be consisting of two parts. One part will be the rectangular part and the other part will be the trapezoidal part. So if you are not given dimensions, just assume this particular size to be 200 mm. So you can take this as 200 or you can take it as 150 also, no problem. And the upper part you can take it as 400. Because you have not been given any size. So take this as 400. So this is going to be your part of the trapezoidal footing. Now, how will you see this trapezoidal footing? You will see this line joining to this line joining to this line. Now let me just clean up all these lines, extra lines which are there. And now you know that this is going to be offsetted from by 75 on both the sides. So if you look at this, this is your 75 line. So to draw the column, you have to offset is by 75 on inside. This is 1 and this is 2. So this is going to be your column. So the column will be here and it will be seen dashed. So you can show it dashed and you can show it even going up to this point. So this is going to be the column. Now all these lines, because this is a footing, you are going to show it in dashed lines. So because this is beyond, you will not be seeing this in the same line as the section. So this is how you will see the footing in the sectional elevation which you are drawing. Now of course you have to give the PCC indication here, which you know how it is to be drawn. You can show this with a thicker line, as you know that this has to be drawn with thick lines because this is in section. So whatever is in section, don't forget to draw it in thicker lines. Okay. And indicate wherever brickwork is there, wherever concrete is there, indicate it properly with the required indication. Below this you can just simply show these lines like this, and you have to write here hard strata. Okay. So you can go on copying them like this and indicate this as hard strata. Right here, hard strata. So all this drawing which we have mentioned up to now, this will all be drawn with the help of 1:50 scale because that is what they have asked you. So now possibly you understand what you're supposed to be drawing as a key plan and a key section. So this is your key section. Of course, this will also get repeated here. If you have time, sufficient time, you can also draw this here and say that this is the key section. Key section AA you can say, and always indicate the section line. So where will you draw the section line? You will draw it here like this. So this will be AA, and the same thing you will draw it here. So don't forget to show the section line and mention it here when you are drawing the key section AA. Compose the sheet a little bit properly so that it comes neatly. So where before actually starting the drafting, just try to find out how much space you are going to require for drawing it at 1:50 scale. So this is part 1 of the question which we have solved, or the first part which was at a scale of 1:50. So let us go back to the question here. Just see if I can turn this on again. Okay, so this is going to be the first part of the section, which first part of the question, which was for 15 marks. So that is what they're expecting for 15 marks here. So let us just check whether we have fully completed that. A room of size 3 meter by 4.5 meter is to be constructed with RCC columns of size 230 by 350 located at 4 corners. The room is divided into 2 parts by a brick partition wall, that also we have shown. Draw key, plan and section at 1:50 scale showing footing and plinth beams. So we have completed this part of the question. Now the next part of the section, that is the next 2 parts, we'll do that in the next video. So I'll stop this video here and you can practice it. Thank you.